Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Dungeons and Dopamine. Da-da. Hi, I'm Jess, and I've never done this before.
This is a brand new podcast. I'm Bree, and this is Dopamine and Dungeons.
Fish and physics. This is episode something of something. Where are we? What is happening?
Who are you?
Hi, this is episode 105 of Dungeons and Dopamine. I'm Jess.
I'm Bree.
I don't know what I'm doing.
We are totally experts at this. And that's the whole episode.
I
Just
legitimately... My thumb goes behind my microphone, which I've punched. I not only this week, just because it's Wednesday, so it's been 3 days technically of this week. I edited an episode Monday, and I watched an episode today. Still couldn't remember how we start this. Do I say hi? Do I say welcome? Do I say this is Dungeons and Dopamine? I don't know.
We've never done it before.
This bodes really well, because let me tell you, I broke my Egypt thing for today because nothing caught my interest. Okay, so real talk.
Do you need help?
I might.
Are you depressed?
I might
Are
be.
you finding little to no interest
in
in things that usually interest you?
Anything. Legit. Told Ryan this week, nothing makes me happy.
I don't mean to laugh at you, except I get it.
I sat in the sun I sat outside under a canopy near the sun
Because you
on
can't
Monday.
sit in the sun.
This is my face with no sun. This has been my face since you arrived here.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put medicine on it. This is still my face.
It's because it was actually lipstick.
Don't tell them my secrets. I can't edit that out. It was an important part of our conversation.
Obviously. Might as well just record everything live now.
Right? Legit. I don't have to edit anything. Although I do worry that we will say something that should not
Like
be
your
said.
address.
Where we're going to be on Friday. All Fridays.
All Fridays. It's just us talking about a detailed schedule
Agenda.
of when you're not at home.
And when I'm home but alone.
Yes.
And defenseless, asleep. And how dumb my dogs are and what their favorite treats are for bribery
How
purposes.
much they love strangers.
Yeah.
Totally.
Anyway. I have the weirdest topic this week. So, the fact that I couldn't even figure out how to start this.
It's just going to be one of those episodes.
It's always one of those episodes. Maybe I should stop being in them.
Okay. Where's Brighton?
He's really sick, actually, right now.
Well, then you can't quit.
Oh.
Sorry.
I'm also sick?
Too bad. I would also like to be sick.
Come closer. I'm sure that looks
And
really
that's
good.
how this episode became a After Dark episode.
Yep.
So I have interesting podcast news. We have a new pope.
Yes. I was like, that doesn't have to do with our podcast, though.
But it does.
Oh.
Because guess where he went to school?
Where?
Well, he's from Chicago. We
Okay.
probably know that.
Didn't know that. I knew he was
went
American.
To St. Augustine's for seminary school, which later became the Felt Estate. Or which was the Felt Estate and became St. Augustine's Seminary School.
What?
And then became the Felt Estate again.
What?
True story. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, it gave me shivers. I was goosebumps. That's
Hanging
so
out
weird.
at the library with my library friend last week, and we were talking about the Pope, and she was like, yeah, and he went to school at St. Augustine's, which is just south of Holland. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know he was Michigan local. And she was like, yeah, and now it's the Felt something the felt. I was like, the felt estate? And she was like, yeah. How did you know that? I was like, I've done a podcast episode about that.
Clearly, they haven't listened to that episode, which...
But she has listened to other episodes.
Well,
so.
at least, okay.
And she has a cute dog. It's Bones.
The dog is just Bones. But it's really cute
It's
Bones.
really cute.
She painted little flowers on them.
Yep. So the Pope is basically part of our podcast now.
Obviously, we need to chat. I don't know what I would have to
I'll
say
reach
to the
out
Pope.
to him.
Like, what was it like to be at that
One
place?
time I did a podcast episode about a place you have hung out. Can
You
we
went
be
to
friends?
school there. Bestie?
Hey,
Bestie?
this podcast you can come on.
I have nothing. Like, nothing cool has happened to me in the last 3 weeks. We did our live episode.
We did.
That was
It
fun. I
amazing.
liked it a lot. And then it was like kid birthday happened before that. But celebration of kid birthday happened after.
Right.
And like Easter stuff. And that was all fun.
But busy.
Yeah, I think that's why the lack of interest in anything except for napping.
Ooh.
I took a Benadryl Sunday night and woke up Monday feeling the best I felt in a long time.
How many hours did you sleep?
I literally think only like 9.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is like, that. I know that sounds dumb, only 9.
No,
but with PCOS, 9 is like a magic number.
That's like a normal amount of sleep for you.
And I was in a coma. Like, I didn't wake up once, and then I woke up and like... I thought Ryan was missing, and I reached over, and he wasn't there, thankfully, because I probably would have judo chopped him in the throat.
Where are you?
But yeah, it was crazy. Usually, at least I wake up with his alarm, and then the dogs wake me up, and then, but nothing. It was.
That sounds
It was
glorious.
beautiful. And then I sat in the sun-ish. I sat adjacent to the sun.
I had an election last week,
Ugh.
because of course I did. It went so much better because I'm not
Yay!
the clerk anymore. I only have to help with things. But the very next day I slept approximately 12 hours.
Nice.
Like I think I went to bed at, I don't know, probably midnight the night after the election and got up at 6:30 or whatever to get Connor on the bus and then went straight back to bed until 2:30 in the afternoon.
Heck yeah.
It was amazing.
Do you find that now that you're older, you can't sleep in the late afternoon or evening, or you can't sleep at night?
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's seriously, like, I can't take naps very often anymore unless it's
I can't even drink caffeine too late at night anymore.
I
or
don't have
stay
that
up too
problem
late,
still.
which is dumb because normally it does calm my brain, but it wakes my body up. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just read all night now.
That does sound good, though.
I mean,
I did read a couple of books over the last few days. It was great. Yeah. Anyway, we saw the Thunderbolts. That was amazing. That's the new Marvel movie.
oh, okay. I was like,
Like, that's
the ride
cool.
at
There's
Michigan Adventure?
Thunderbolts. Pew, pew.
Because Zach was just working on that and it's not in great shape.
Shouldn't be on that. It's not safe at all. No, the movie, The Thunderbolts, with Bucky.
Was it good?
And Yelena, she's in it too. There's a lot of people, but Bucky's really
But
what
Bucky's
matters.
there.
It was great.
Okay.
It felt like, I know you guys aren't super into the Marvel movies, but it felt like they went back to kind of like the OG Marvel humor and everything.
Oh.
Where there was like tons of action and it was like exciting and kind of nerve-wracking. And then there was plenty of that great, like, Robert Downey Jr. humor in it. He wasn't in the movie. Spoiler. No one should expect him to be in that movie. It's not a him movie.
It's not Iron Man.
It's not even
Or
close.
Spider-Man. Or
Dr. Doom.
right.
That's his next. It's Dr. Doom. I'm right.
Absolutely.
It's right.
You are asking the wrong person.
They just announced the cast for Avengers Doomsday, which is Dr. Doom, and basically we get back. Sorry, hang on. Basically, we get back a bunch of our OG Avengers, which is pretty cool because most of them are like dead or retired or whatever.
Right.
Big truck.
That was a big
I'm
truck.
sure that got picked up. Or I'll be really confused when I'm editing. Like, did I have a stroke? I mean, I'll believe it because at the beginning of this episode, clearly.
Yeah.
Pedro. I got to see, he's Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four movies.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And I got to see an ad. And then he's part of the Avengers Doomsday. And he's so pretty. I just love him.
He made a lot of people very sad, angry with his recent show.
I don't know. Oh, yes.
I don't watch that show, but I
Yes.
know my feeds have been full of love-hate
Yes.
for Pedro.
It's not his fault.
Fair.
Because it's what does happen in the game. But we love Pedro, so it's really hard to see that happen. Anything that could happen. Not spoilers.
Right.
Ryan, if you could just, right before we begin talking about that, go back there and a little
Spoiler.
Last of Us spoilers. Everyone should know by now.
Yeah. We didn't say what, because I don't
Right.
know what. I just know people were mad sad.
I do know what. I didn't see it. We never finished the first episode because I have this weird thing with zombies. They don't freak me out bad, but I have dreams about them.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay,
Have
good.
we talked about this?
I don't know.
Zombies
I'm
in
sure.
general do not scare me.
No, right.
But I will 100% have a nightmare later.
Yes.
Just because I watched a zombie movie.
Okay, yes. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like maybe it's something in our brains that just clicks with that. Like
It's gotta be.
there's something intrinsic that your brain goes, we don't like that. That's
And I'm
danger.
always running and having an asthma attack.
Of course.
And I'm always going to be eaten by zombies because my asthma acts up. And I wake up and I have to go get my inhaler. And it's a big thing, so I don't watch zombie movies now.
I can only watch zombie movies or video games like in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ryan and I tried to watch him play a game. I can't remember. It might have been The Last of Us. And I had to ask him to stop playing it so late at night because I would then dream about it. And they're very unsettling dreams where I'm like asleep, but my brain is so active that when I wake up, I haven't rested.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel almost as tired or more tired than when I laid down to go to
Yeah.
bed. Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm glad I'm not the only one because it
Thank
made
you.
me feel weird.
Yeah, thank you for, I don't know why it took us that long to figure it out, but
Well,
like,
you just found out like a couple of months ago that I hate monkeys. So
true.
there's still many mysteries in this world.
which is hard to do after 30 years of friendship.
Absolutely. I'm drinking Sneak. If you guys want to sponsor us, I'm here.
That would be great.
I'll take free Sneak.
I will also take free Sneak, even though I can't drink it.
It's
Maybe
delicious.
I can. Who knows?
You might. You can look at the ingredients list. It's actually delicious. I don't use as much powder as Ryan does, so I get more out of it. But you get these tubs, and they have 40 scoops in them, which I probably get like 47 or 8. And he gets a 40, and they're $40, so they're expensive. But it's $1 per energy drink.
Right.
If you
Which
drink
is way
more than-
cheaper than storage.
Absolutely. If you drink more than 2 a day, you die.
Fair.
If you drink 2 a day, you feel like you're gonna shake out of your skin.
So half of one would
good
probably be
stuff.
plenty for me.
Yeah, maybe a sip of mine.
Still throw my
I can
adrenaline
share
up.
my lipstick.
Oh, perfect.
So,
This has been Dungeons and Dopamine podcast.
bye. Thanks for
Bye.
coming. I was trying to think of a great transition. Do you know?
Because I don't even know what your topic is. So.
You don't.
And it's wild.
I bet $1 million you never would have guessed it either.
What finally brought you dopamine this week, Jessica?
The second thing we're going to talk about today. But this was good enough.
Fair.
Do you know what the dog man of Michigan absolutely loves?
Hank.
Yeah. Yes. And that's my topic today.
I hope you didn't even interview him. You're just making up random facts about Hank.
Hank-
That may or may not be true.
Actually he's now black.
I heard that.
I don't even know. Is that wrong? Maybe I should say he's now African American, or is he now just black? It's TikTok thing.
It's a TikTok
Don't
thing.
cancel us. It's like not that much to cancel anyway, so don't get all hypey.
If you're gonna be offended, go be offended by Hank.
Seriously,
'Cause he's used
this
to
is
that.
his fault, or the person on TikTok who decided that gingers were black.
Yeah.
But yeah, so That's
It's an exciting time in Hank's life.
it truly is. Let me tell you more exciting times in his life.
All right.
When his kid was born. When I killed him in Among Us. Last week, Saturday.
Probably true. He made a movie like 3 times.
Yeah, all of this. Okay, but that's cool. Like, he posted about that, and I was like, this is just proof that you're cooler than me. He hosted, like, stuff, and...
He got called on stage. I
saw a clip of that.
Run into him at the Jay and Silent Bob podcast they were doing.
He
like,
molested
traveling.
Jay.
He sure did. Without a second thought. Just jumped right in there.
Hank, everybody. That's your happy Hank minute.
We are thankful for that.
So thankful. But what Dogman of Michigan also really likes,
Right,
is making phone calls.
somehow, I doubt that.
How dare you?
I hate making phone calls.
Same.
Tell me more.
Okay. Well, I have a list of phone numbers that you should never call.
Okay. All right. I'm in.
So, first things first.
Should we dial them?
No. No, we should not. Most of them, I think, are like major hoaxes. However, no, just in case they're not. This is a horror episode by me.
Surprise! We're back to dungeons.
There wasn't enough horror in the Egyptian hippo god with tits out. So.
Creepy phone numbers.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I know. I went to ChatGPT and I was like, yo, I got nothing. And it was like, talk about these creepy phone numbers. And I was like, excuse me?
We're like, come on.
Tell me more. And it did. And actually, it was ChatGPT was fairly useless for this. I had a couple of websites that I found that I can't give you what they were or tell you anything about them because they're closed. But maybe I'll find them and post them for credit because I stole their information. Don't sue me. I have nothing. You can have this banner.
No, that's mine.
You can have that banner. I'll cut myself out of it and you can have me.
You can only have half because you can only
I do have the knife.
half of her, or her half of our belongings.
I do have the upper hand. I have the high ground if I were a Jedi. That's what I would say. Anyway. So, phones. Woo. I also hate making phone calls passionately. I much prefer texting. But if you think about it, there are a ton of like urban legends and scary movies and stuff that are around the phone. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The Scream.
Even Scream,
Yeah. The urban legend about
coming from inside the house.
Exactly. The urban legends about exactly that. The call is coming from inside the house. The urban legend about the girl who has to call the parents while she's babysitting because there's a creepy statue in the house and she wants to know if she can cover it up. And the parents call her and they're like, get out of the house because there's not a creepy statue.
A creepy statue.
I think it's usually a clown.
Always.
There's apparently a urban legend that a phone number with extra 6s or 9s is like a cursed number and it's someone evil calling you or that you'll die when you get a call.
People are getting cell phones in our local area now that start with 666.
Oh, I don't like that.
Isn't that wild?
I would trade my phone number immediately.
I can't. If I owned a telephone company, I would. It's like not using 555 because that's the numbers they use in the movies.
Right.
You don't use 666 because everybody thinks it's evil.
Yeah. Actually, that is one of the numbers on here. Not just 666, but we'll get there. So the other thing that I think about when I think about bad phone calls is scams.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know if it's urban legend or if it's true, but they say that if you answer a telemarketer and you say the word yes, they can record it and like get you into contracts and stuff like that you didn't want to be a part of. And I don't know if I buy it, but at the same time, I'm kind of curious or yeah, I'm very cautious when I answer those calls. So those are weird.
Mm-hmm.
And Then there are those, it happened to my grandmother once when she was still alive. They called, it was someone, they sounded young, and they said, Grandma, we need your help. And she said, Jessie? Because that's what she used to call me. Don't call me that, please.
Only Grandma can.
Only Grandma can, and she's gone, so creepy. Then, of course, they latched on to that, and they're like, yes, it's me, and, like, spun a really sob story.
I got in a car accident, and I'm in a different state, and somebody got hurt, and if I don't pay thousands of dollars right now, I'm going to go to jail.
Exactly. And she didn't. Thankfully, she didn't fall for the scam. She called my mom. She was like, where is Jessica? Blah, 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 blah. And my mom was like,
why is she asking me for money?
No, that grandma would have handed me the money.
Right.
But she would have had to do it in person.
Where can I find Jessie so I can give her all this cash?
Exactly. And I was probably sitting at the computer playing Sims or something. So my mom was like, well, she's right here. You want to talk to her? You know, like.
Right.
So it didn't work, but it is happening. And there are a lot of scary phone scams that are out there. That's not what we're going to talk about, though.
Of course not.
So I guess this is one thing I wanted to note. Everything I'm about to tell you is probably fake. These are linked. You'll die. A lot of them are probably urban legends and or creepypastas. Some of them specifically said they were linked with creepypastas. But if you're trying to scare yourself, some of them have like creepy messages and stuff like that. But let me give you those phone numbers at the very end, and just don't give anybody your information. Don't put in your credit cards. Don't talk to anybody. Some of these lead to scams, and they just put the information out there in a creepypasta to make it seem like, woo, this is so fun. Do it at night when you're with your friends. And then they scam you and steal things from you. Or
that's awful.
Find you and murder you. I don't know.
Either way.
I assume either one.
Could be both.
Why not both?
Why not both?
So, proceed with caution. I know that it's kind of fun to scare yourself, but proceed with caution. So my very first number is 0888 888888. I think I said enough of them and not too many. This is known as the death number. And this is a phone number in Bulgaria that was actually a phone number who 3 of the owners died under mysterious or violent circumstances. One of them, excuse me, I also am going to die under mysterious circumstances.
She has talked about it.
The first owner, or the first one who died, was Vladimir Grashnov, and he died of cancer. There was a conspiracy theory that the phone he used actually caused radiation that killed him, which was linked then to, of course, the phone number. The second person who had the phone number was a mobster. He was, I don't have his name, just Joe Mobster. And Vladimir Mobster, he was in Bulgaria. I don't know Bulgarian names very well. Bulgarian Mobster 1.
Yes.
And he was very involved in drug trafficking, which makes it no surprise that he was shot in Amsterdam and killed. Then there was a businessman, Konstantin Dimitrov. And he was on a date at lunch and was also shot. Allegedly, the phone number is now decommissioned because of that string of bad luck.
I wonder how they figured...
How they connected all of them? Yeah.
Because they died in different places.
Yeah.
So it's not like there was one homicide detective.
Right.
That was like, dude, weirdest thing.
All of them.
You remember that
Same
case
number.
from last summer?
Yeah.
His phone number is the same as this guy's phone number, and I just happened to know that off the top of my head.
I just like numbers, and I matched them.
I mean, I could see me doing that.
As you count them on your teeth.
Right. But not a homicide detective.
No. They're normal.
Weird. Yeah.
I just inadvertently called you weird.
I mean,
it wasn't really inadvertent.
You're not wrong.
I had to point it out after I did it, so just make sure you knew. All right. This next number, I have 2 different versions of the story. One is in India, and it's 999 999 999.
All right.
And in India, apparently a chain message went around warning people that if you received a call from this number, you would die. just like straight up die because of the signals or the radiation coming through the phone. There was a lot of that apparently at one time. It was eventually proved as a hoax. Someone's trying to scare people, but actually it is a very commonly used number for telemarketers and stuff. So you really don't want to answer a 999 number, but can you imagine seeing a chain letter like that, especially if you were younger? I was so scared of chain letters when I was a kid because, something terrible was going to happen to you. So you got a chain letter from a friend saying, hey, you're going to die if this number calls you. And then a telemarketer rings in. Oh. So, but in Thailand, the 999 is something you can dial. And when you call it, you'll get a wish. And you will get whatever your heart desires with one wish. However, there are dire consequences to this wish.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's supposed to happen to the people around you. One of these stories says that after you get your wish and it comes true and you start seeing like the good come out of it, then it takes your life. Or I saw other things that said like it'll hurt those around you. Mm-hmm. It'll take what you love the most. That kind of the typical like beware kind of thing. I am
careful what you wish for.
I'm just gonna hang out in this corner because I can't move my chair anywhere. I've been trying subtly this whole time. It has a reputation as one of those really scary numbers to call. The number 1-000-000-0000.
Which feels like it shouldn't exist.
That is actually funny that you say that because it is called the phantom number. And it is believed it is a direct line to the supernatural. And people have called it and reported hearing noises, disturbing voices, cold presences around them. And after they hang up, report having unsettling nightmares. Oh. This would creep me out a lot. Yeah. I didn't like it. Mm-mm. Sorry, this little fact here is just kind of dumb. It has earned the reputation as one of the most haunting and terrifying numbers to never call, and many advise avoiding it to escape its mysterious phantom-like consequences. Egads. There is one thing that is kind of cool. It doesn't have a phone number that I could connect with it, but in Japan, a gardener, someone who was renowned for creating very beautiful gardens, lost his cousin very close to when he was about to complete one of his gardens. And he found an old telephone booth and put it in the garden. And this is a telephone booth that people go to make phone calls to deceased family members and those that they love, to put their messages out into the wind that will carry it away too.
It reminds me of the Crescent City books.
Oh sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've got
I never even put that together.
In the middle of town or wherever.
Yeah.
Where you can speak to the other.
There.
Thanks for joining me, Jessica.
I figured it was time for me to arrive in flesh, everyone. I mean, that was barely any boob, but still.
Way more than you would have shown 20 years ago.
Exactly. You can see my clavicle. One kind of sad thing is that the original phone booth got destroyed during a hurricane, but they rebuilt one that was more sturdy.
Oh, good.
And it's still, from my understanding, it's still there today. I
like that one.
I did too. I needed to throw that in there because a lot of this is
after
terrible.
The phantom one.
Exactly. This one here. 1-666-666-666-666.
I would not call that one.
No.
Either.
Nope. So you can guess this is something that is supposed to connect you directly to the devil. People who call it, once again, say they've heard eerie sounds, strange voices, or result in disturbing experiences. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't call it. There is a lot of apparently spoofing that happens with this phone number, which spoofing, if you don't know, is when, like, say a telemarketer uses a phone number that might look like your phone number, or you might think you're getting a call from a parent because they've
spoofed. Or a bank.
Yes. They've spoofed the number, and then when you call back, it's not them at all. That
Right.
happened to me with my work number the other day.
Oh.
So, a lot of people say that they get spoofed and the number will call them, which is also really freaking creepy.
Right?
Stop.
Yeah, I wouldn't answer that number.
Nope. It's probably a debt collector.
A really evil one.
Exactly. This number, 1-216-333-1810, is apparently the hotline to the devil.
It's just a random number.
Right?
Interesting.
So, people who have dialed this number claim to hear unsettling whispers, disturbing sounds, or even voices that feel unnatural. They say that these experiences collectively have led to people believing that this is a direct line to call the devil.
Weird.
It's so
He's got
weird.
multiple phone lines.
Right?
Jeez.
He was like, 666 is really just cliche.
I just want a regular phone number, okay?
This one is specifically for you.
Oh boy.
Feel free to call. 630-296-7536. Can you tell I give numbers in my real life all the time?
Got your customer service voice on.
This number is associated with a haunted doll.
Oh, my favorite.
Uh-huh.
Yay.
Anyone who dares to dial this number will be cursed by this doll with bad luck.
Can't wait to call that one.
It's said that it invokes a curse when you call it, potentially leading to a series of unfortunate events, which is also a Lemony Snicket's book.
True.
Okay, no, I don't have any other information on it. I don't know what happens when you call it. I'm not gonna call it.
If we know anything.
I won't even do the Annabelle story or Robert the Doll because they freak me out. I have to sleep with the lights on if I hear that story anywhere else. Any of those. Okay, anyway, so I don't know what happens when you call it. So if you do happen to decide to call it, for one, I take no responsibility for that. And for two, let me know what happens.
Give us a call. Let us know.
If you're already going to have the bad luck, you might as well tell us so
Yeah.
that you can get some entertainment value out of
We'll
it.
put you on the show.
Yeah, I'll wrap up here.
Good.
I have a few more, but these ones are, if you're just itching now to dial your phone, these are some fun ones.
Oh, good.
You can call 407-734-0254. I think this is a number in Georgia, but I'm not positive. I know at least they're 404 in Georgia. But this will connect you to the real life voicemail of a clown.
Oh, okay.
Except he's kind of crazy. Well, he's probably not. He's probably a great guy. I don't know. But you can hire him for parties. You can hire him to scare your children. Or you can call and listen to the creepy message he leaves for everyone who listens to his voicemail.
Oh, good.
I didn't call him.
Why not?
If you are a fan of Stranger Things, you can call 618-625-8313 to hear an eerie message from a familiar character in the Stranger Things franchise.
Okay.
I don't know what the message is. I did not look it up, but you could give it a shot. And the last thing you can do if you want to give yourself a little bit of a spook is to call 909-390-0003 and listen to an echo of your own voice that's sort of distorted and creepy. I don't want to.
But you might
can.
want to. That's weird.
Yeah. And that's punching my microphone.
Just like every week.
Yeah. Ryan put a compilation of the itchy nose episode of me hitting the microphone with like effects. I think he caught 5 of them, and then we were watching the episode earlier today because he wanted me to see some of the stuff he put in it, and he realized he missed one.
So now he's got to do it over.
Exactly. So I don't know where that came from. It doesn't have to do with Egypt.
It's awesome though, and weird.
Yeah, super weird. And fun fact, since I have to do a little Egypt in there, there's a Fuddruckers in Egypt. If you watched episode 102, you might have caught that.
That's awesome. You know what else I hate doing besides making phone calls?
The Dogman of Michigan.
Yes, I do hate doing the Dogman of Michigan.
Researching for the podcast.
Mowing my lawn.
Oh, sure.
Not really. I don't mow the lawn.
No mow.
Yes.
Except mine looks like don't let the hobbits into the tall grass.
That's a much better name.
I actually made a couple clips so that I could do that as a TikTok post, which I probably still will because this will come out before then.
Right.
So anyway,
Nice.
indeed, I do hate mowing my lawn. When I got divorced, fun fact, I made Ryan teach me how to mow the yard because I'd never wanted to have to,
Depend on someone else.
ever. Yeah. And now I won't get on the lawnmower. I do have a shoulder issue where my tendon swells up, so if it's a push mower, it rattles my shoulder too much. But I'm sure the riding mower would do the same thing.
You'd have to turn it. It might bother your shoulder.
Yeah.
Not that driving a car does, but it's fine. Don't mow anyway because it's May.
Right.
I'm way late on this. This episode will actually come out in June.
No mo June.
But as always, I'm gonna do it anyway. So, this I have talked about feral gardening in the past, which this kind of goes along with, but this is more specifically about No Mow May, and this kind of started. And I've mentioned this in a previous episode too, my feral gardening episodes. There's a meme that goes around, and I copied it, but it basically gesture to an unmown lawn, and it's I do this for the pollinators. I'm saving the pollinators, and then waves at a stack of dirty dishes. This too is for the pollinators, and trips over a pile of laundry for the pollinators. Because that's my house right now. Actually, the house is clean because we had people over this weekend. However, the yard is not.
Ants. We have so many of those little tiny black ants right now. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I dropped a noodle on the cupboard. A tiny bit of a noodle of my pad thai from Mother's Day.
Ants shouldn't even like.
Right. But apparently they do. Because they were all over.
We should mow the ants.
Also washed my dishes because of the ants, so I can't even say it was for them.
They're not pollinators. You can kill them all.
Kill them all.
With fire. Anyway.
Permission received.
No Mow May is exactly what it sounds like. It's this new trendy phrase that encourages us to leave our yards natural for the month of May. And of course, we're doing it to help the bees. By not mowing, we increase the amount of dandelions and other flowers that is in our yard, so it gives more food and energy for all of the bees that are coming out of hibernation and it's springtime, so they're starting to feed, they're looking for energy. The other bugs and pollinators are coming out from the brush and the leaves, and everybody's just looking to stay alive for an extra month. So, we started hearing about No Mow May, and I guess this has been a couple years now, but I feel like this was the first year that I've seen it kind of widespread. Before, I feel like it was more like the super hippy dippies that were talking about No Mow May, or maybe in California or some of the bigger cities, but I have seen it quite a few places this year. So I wanted to research how legit No Mow May is. So is this just an excuse for lazy people like me to ignore yard work? Is there science behind it? What's going on? And there is some research behind here. But first I'm going to get into some of the downsides of No Mow May. And I think this is really overlooked. This was actually really common narratives from people who would normally seem like people that would support No Mow May, or people that are very concerned about our pollinators and having more natural habitats and flower gardens. No Mow May is not well liked.
Really?
And here's why.
Yes, thank you.
So, No Mow May, or whatever variation of the phrase works best for you, only really works in yards that are already a little bit feral. It does not work in the yards that are just green grass.
Because
anyway.
there's no flowers there anyway.
Yeah, there's no biodiversity there. This is going to work best in yards that already have some native and natural plants that are maybe overgrowing or taking over the yard. If you've already got a lot of dandelions or violets, or a plant called self-heal, something like clover, anything like that. If you have that kind of yard like I do, where we've just been ignoring it for a couple of years, and so we're starting to get a lot of this overgrowth and a lot of these more native natural plants coming through, then absolutely no mow May is probably for, or no mow, low mow, whatever you're going to do is probably right for you. But if you live in a city or a subdivision where your lawn is already just like beautiful lush green grass that you have been taking care of for years, and you've got an HOA that is going to like breathe down your neck if you let your grass grow, there's no reason for you to do it anyway.
That was very realtor of you.
It was. Mow your grass. No, but seriously, if that's all you've got is some beautiful green grass, keep mowing your grass. There's no reason for you to let it grow. There's no reason for you to let it go wild, because all you're doing is growing more grass, whereas this is meant to be more for letting the flowers grow and letting the bugs kind of acclimate to it. Also, even though this is a great lazy way to provide benefits, you do need to watch for invasive and damaging plants and bugs. So it's called no mow May, but it's not like no work May, which is, really what I wanted out of it. But if you are letting your lawn run feral, you have to be aware that there could be invasive, damaging plants and bugs that could be in there that you need to eradicate or keep under control. I have a couple spots in my yard that have mint. Somebody planted mint in one of my gardens at some point, and the second year that I stopped paying attention to my yard was the first year that we really noticed we have a mint problem, because you should never plant mint in the grass or in the yard. You should always put it in containers. It is very invasive. It grows very fast, and it gets very out of control.
So if you hate someone,
give them
some mint and violets. Violets are pretty tough little things too.
They are. The nice thing about violets, at least, is they're pretty.
That's true.
They have little purple flowers, and as much as, and this is a big lawn issue, actually, I've done an episode about big lawn and like pesticides and why they have convinced us that things like dandelions and violets are invasive and bad plants. But both violets and dandelions are actually not only native and natural, especially in our area, but they are very good for the pollinators. They're good for the actual lawn and grass. Like, they put more nutrients into it, and they are not harmful. I read a comment from somebody recently that said she hates violets.
What?
Like, how dare they grow in her yard? She hates them. And they're just cute little green plants with purple flowers. Like, you can make jelly out of them. What is there to hate?
I don't feel like they're, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are really difficult to eradicate, and they want the big green fancy lawn.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story about a dandelion?
Please do.
So I went to see my mom the day before Mother's Day with Carly and Ryan, and I stepped out of the car at my parents' house, and there was this big, beautiful, unblown or unpuffed or whatever you want to say, dandelion puffball. And I was like, this is my moment. So I picked it up and I went, and every one of them came off. So my wish was granted, but the way that the wind was blowing, every single one of them went into my car.
That's
everyone.
Amazing.
Look how red my face is. I'm sorry, Ryan, but it was super funny.
That is amazing.
I just laughed and I shut my door, and then I got the present out of the back of the car and just went inside.
We're like, this is fine. I'm just gonna live this way now.
Anyway, my apologies.
That's beautiful. So you want to watch out for invasive plants, invasive bugs, damaging issues. Although I could argue here, some of the research said that by by mowing every week or every other week, it helps keep those invasive weeds and invasive plants under control. But from my understanding on how plants spread, if you're cutting up these invasive plants and either leaving the pieces of them there or bagging them all into your mower and then pouring them in the back of your property, I feel like you're still spreading these invasive plants anyway.
Yeah.
Unless you're like going out there and eradicating them with like tools and herbicides and pesticides and stuff. I think mowing or taking care of your lawn is probably letting these invasive plants grow anyway.
You know what? Blow them into your car.
And if you keep them in your car, then they definitely won't grow anywhere else.
No. You might get mice or something, but
not dandelions.
Yeah.
It's great. Great idea.
I know.
We're all about solutions here at Dungeon&Dopamine.
I'm going to clip that. It's going to be just on our page. We're all about solutions here.
Yes.
Play some official music behind it.
So, No-Mow May could also be known as No-Mow April or No-Mow June or Low-Mow Spring, depending on where you live and how hot it gets quickly and what types of plants and things that you have around you. Everything I read also mentioned that this is like the bare minimum of what people can do to help our pollinator issues. So while it is mildly helpful, and if this is, the thing that gets you into caring about our pollinators and like having less lawn, then yay, thanks for being here. But it's such a minor step, and it really helps so little that all of the research is really just hoping that it's kind of just like your gateway drug into caring about
That's
this.
what I was going to say. So if you've already done No-Mow May, then think about the next few steps you can take. Because are you about to tell us?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
How
I have something
convenient.
in my eyeball.
Was it one of those things that I blew into my car?
It is. It's been waiting.
How I would like poop if you pulled one of those little things out.
That would be wild. All right.
That's how I express my shock, apparently, by the way. I would poop. Oh, look what's in my eye. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop talking now so that you can do your part.
And then you'd have to tell us that you pooped.
Oh no, I shock pooped. I shooped.
Not again. It's the third time today. Oh, I'm crying now.
I apologize.
It's
I don't.
sweaty.
I'm not even, I know it's hot.
It is. So, yes. So we have to combine this with a lot of other measures to really make this a good conservation effort. And it is very simple. It's literally a lack of action for the most part, which makes it incredibly accessible for a lot of people, especially those of us with ADHD or forgetfulness or just, super busy lives that don't have the time to really care about our lawns or meticulously maintain our lawns. And you can take it quite literally and just not mow at all for the whole month, or you could at least reduce your mowing. So a lot of recommendations, the 2 to 3 week mark seem to be the sweet spot, even with the research. So I know when I was growing up and lawns were like a status symbol still, I think my grandpa mowed like every week, if not twice a week.
Yeah.
And plus you were watering every day, and like that's what you had to do to keep up with it. By reducing your mowing down to 2 or 3 weeks, there's still some conservation there. By doing that, you're also kind of reducing your environmental impact, because going from mowing twice a week to every other week or every 3 weeks or less than that, obviously just less greenhouse gases and things in the air and all of that. So getting into the science, there is science here. There's not a ton of research, but there have been studies done, and it does show that decreasing the amount of mowing does in fact increase the biodiversity of flowers and plants in an area, which then therefore increases the number of different pollinators and other beneficial bugs that visit the area. Again, the research did say that the sweet spot is kind of in between 2 and 3 weeks. Mowing every week was way too much and showed a decrease in the biodiversity and the amount of pollinators and bugs that were around, and like the different pollinators. So not just whether it attracts bees, but whether it attracts multiple types of bees and multiple types of butterflies and different pollinators.
Butterflies.
And then at 2 weeks, they saw an increase of pollinators and biodiversity, but anything more than that, like 3 weeks or more, still showed an increase of pollinators and biodiversity, but it wasn't a noticeable increase from the 2 week.
But you didn't
studies.
lose any.
Right.
So it's okay. If you're doing this just because you don't feel like mowing, it's
Yes.
still good. You're
Yes.
still good. Okay.
Yes. The coolest part was At least 2 different studies showed that natural landscape and non-mowed lawns attract beneficial pollinators and other bugs and decreased the amount of yucky pest bugs like centipedes, millipedes, spiders, ticks, and mites.
Ooh.
So manicured lawns actually show an increase in pest species versus pollinator and beneficial species.
That's great. I hate ticks.
And all the people, because that is usually the complaint. If you are complaining that your neighbor's lawn isn't mowed or that, the neighborhood doesn't keep up on the mowed grass, it's usually that it looks trashy and that it's going to attract pests. People are worried that long grass is going to have more ticks, have more spiders, have more rodents and those types of things. But the studies show that it's actually the lush green manicured lawns that are attracting the pest bugs and the creepy things. I assume this has something to do with, number one, if you have lush green grass lawn, you're probably using a lot of pesticides and chemicals that are probably killing the beneficial stuff. The only stuff that's still left is like the hardcore, scary, yucky pest bugs. But also just because, they call it a monoculture grass is not going to provide the necessary benefits or food or energy for all these different types of bugs. So you're going to get less bugs, but they're going to be all of the same species basically, or all of the same type, and apparently the yucky ones.
Yep.
Yeah. And so another big hurdle for no mow May and feral gardening, which I touched on in my previous episodes, is the local control. If you're dealing with either a homeowners association or even local governments, it's especially hard in cities. Usually there are local ordinances against long grass or letting your yard be overgrown. You can't just have unkempt. You can't even sell a house these days. Like, appraisers literally won't appraise the house for the right amount, and sometimes you can't get a certificate of occupancy unless you have landscaping and grass put in.
You're kidding.
No, it's ridiculous.
Oh, that makes me kind of furious, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and a lot of these local governments are kind of coming around to this, but especially if you live in a more rural area, or a very busy city, you're going to get a lot more pushback on letting your yard go feral or letting your lawn get long.
I'd heard that Muskegon has decided to take part in No Mow May this year.
I'm going to talk about that.
I should have known. I always
Stop
do
it,
this
Jessica.
to you every time.
So, check your local ordinances. This is usually some sort of like weed or nuisance grass ordinance, something along those lines. Some of them get very specific on how tall your grass can be or how often it has to be cut. They may have ordinance enforcers that literally drive around on Tuesday afternoons and ticket people for having grass that's too long or not mowing. Some places will allow you to turn some of your lawn more natural, so you can have like a pollinator garden or a wildflower garden, but you still have to maintain most of your lawn as just nice grass. So check into your ordinances. If you find that those ordinances do not go along with helping our pollinators, you can do something about that. So this actually happened here in North Muskegon. It's a school group, so part of the school system, they have like an environmental group in the school system, and that group went to the city council and petitioned them, gave all of the studies that I mentioned and all of these reasons about why we need to help our pollinators and what the lessened pollinators is doing to our world and how it can affect us long term and what we can do to fix that. And it's things like no mow May or allowing these things. And at least this city has decided that they are going to allow up to 20 residents, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a pretty small city.
It's a good start at least,
yes.
Right?
And they are allowed to participate in no mow May and will be exempt from the local ordinances that would usually require them to cut their grass. They do have to pay $30, and that gets them like signage to put in their yard.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Which is great because it's not it's not enough just to do no mow May, but also having signage there so that your neighbors know why your grass is long and why your yard looks unkempt. Not only to tell them why, like, please don't call the city on me, but also to spread awareness of why we're doing this and why it's a good thing. I did try to look up to see like what the fine is if you don't mow your lawn, because like paying $30 to be a part of this, but the fine if you don't mow your lawn is only like $12 seemed a little bit off to me, but I couldn't find it on their website. So
No, you're on a list.
Probably. And honestly, sometimes with ordinances, it could be as simple as a warning the first time. So maybe if you do choose to do no mow may, just look up and see what the different options for them penalizing you are. You know, if it's going to cost you just a verbal warning and you can take care of it in a couple weeks and nobody's going to bother you, cool. If it's $100 ticket the first time right away, then maybe you don't want to risk it. If it's $30, or you can go pay $30 and get a cool sign and participate in No Mow May, you know, you have to kind of weigh the pros and cons and decide that for yourself. But they did also recommend if you're going to go further with this and participate in No Mow May, but then you do want to increase or decrease your lawn and increase your pollinator gardens or wildflowers or something like that, they do recommend putting like not a barrier, but space in between. So like if you had woods, then you would do, you know, maybe a rock path or gravel or something, and then your wildflower garden or your pollinator garden. And this also helps prevent the pests that we talked about, the yucky ones, the ticks and the spiders and things. For some reason, like that just little bit of a walkway in between to separate from the woods to where your garden starts is enough of a barrier to kind of keep some of those pests out. But it also makes it look more like what you're doing is on purpose.
Sure.
Versus just, you know, being somebody in the neighborhood that doesn't care about your lawn and isn't going to do anything and is becoming like a blighted house. Either having signage or having these well taken care of or manicured pollinator gardens is probably a better idea than just being like, peace out, I'm not doing any yard work anymore. But yes, you know, you can go to your city, you can go to your township, you can bring them the information, you can have them listen to my podcast.
Do all of that.
Yes, do all of that. And just to kind of get people on board that this is a good idea and taking this a little bit further and helping our local governments to realize that maybe some of these rules that we have are a little outdated, and there are new theories and new ideas on how we can still have nice places without having to mow our grass every week and have like beautiful green grass instead of awesome flowers. One last note, I guess. I thought I had more. Didn't I skip a part? So one last thing to be aware of, a few articles did mention that if you do spend one whole month not mowing, when you do go back to mow or take care of that, it's going to be a lot more work than if you had been keeping up on it. So even some of the cities that participate in No Mow May, they're still very stringent on their rules. One of them, not the one local to us, but in another city, you can participate in No Mow May, but you have to have it all taken care of by June 3rd. They even specifically on their website mentioned that it could be the yard work itself might be a lot more hard when you do get to it. So you may want to start the last week of May anyway to make sure that you have all of the work done by June 3rd. So again, this goes to, are you actually doing anything if you just go a whole month without mowing and then one day into June you just knock it all down and pretend it never happened? I don't know. Of course, it's still beneficial while you don't do it if you have the biodiversity and the flowers and the things in your yard. You know, you at least gave them a couple extra weeks to get more energy
Especially
and more nutrition and more
in
food.
In June and July, things start blooming, so they do have more food options.
Mm-hmm. And probably any bugs that like laid eggs or anything in the tall grass, hopefully it would survive being flung around by a lawnmower anyway. But there is some question of, are you really doing anything if you just immediately mow it all down, you know, a day after May 31st?
We have property. We're really, really lucky to have property. So we mow the areas where we like play and stuff like that. But we do have one whole chunk of our yard that we just leave feral the whole year round because it's not affecting us. The deer like it. Mm-hmm. The bees love it. The butterflies, dragonflies. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of really cool options if you're just not able. Like you'd mentioned, wildflower gardens are so cool, but there's like bee feeders that you can make with someone just flipped over a pot, like a plant pot, and put sugar water in it, and then you can put sponges, you can put little rocks so that they have something to land on. But there's other ways that you can help if you're not able to do the no mow may, or if you don't have the field that you don't utilize that you can.
Some people just do, like, you get a tall, like, walking stick style stick, and you hot glue like bottle caps on it.
Oh yeah.
So they stick out the side, and then you fill those with water, and it's just like a little bee drinking fountain that they can stop at and get water. So, or if you do live in a city or somewhere with more stringent ordinances, you can put up a privacy fence in your backyard, and you can allow things to overgrow a little bit in the backyard where people can't see it. Or have the nice flower gardens, the nice wildflower gardens, container gardens. You could do things like that. Or, you know, if you can't do it in your yard, maybe you have a friend's house that you can go to, or a local park. A lot of local governments, as they're starting to hear this research, they're very willing to let volunteers go to local parks and build a pollinator garden or a wildflower garden. There's a group around here that builds, they call them, well, they're for mud daubers, which is some sort of hornet type bug thing. Okay. But they build these posts, and they're all really colorful, and the
cool.
mud daubers can like get up and live in them.
And
they put them in, it's kind of like a bee house, and they put them in flower gardens, and they decorate them really pretty. And, you know, they approach local governments or something like that, and they're like, hey, we noticed you have this really nice park. Can we put one of our posts in there? So there are a lot of options. A lot of people are coming up with really great ways that we can help our pollinator friends without just ignoring our lawns for a whole month.
Because if we lose the bees, we lose everything. Yeah. If we
Food.
lose the bees, we lose our lives.
Yep. So save the bees.
Save the bees.
Don't do no mow may unless you've already let your yard go feral like mine. Do
Same.
not just start growing a bunch of monocultured grass, because it's not helpful for us. But find other ways to help. There are lots of great ways out there.
It's really cool. And if you're like a silly researcher, you like to be on Pinterest or YouTube or TikTok, there's so many cool things you can find out there. And a lot of them you can do for cheap. Like you said, a stick with caps glued to it. I mean, so simple.
And the research shows that even small areas, so if you can't, even if you have just, a third of an acre plot for property, even turning a little 10 foot by 10 foot square into a pollinator garden or a wildflower garden is enough to be helpful. You'll still see an increase in the biodiversity and an increase in the good bugs and the good pollinators in that tiny little
little space,
little space, and you're not taking up your whole yard, and you really are creating less work for yourself. It might be a lot of work to get that set up, but eventually it will become something that is pretty low maintenance. Once you plant wildflowers and like get a good wildflower garden going, it's pretty self-sufficient.
Yes.
If you stick with native flowers and plants from around your area, they're probably going to be more water tolerant, so you're not going to need to water the way you do grass. And they're prettier, I think. And then you're mowing less because you've got at least a chunk of your lawn taken out for pretty things.
I love it. I am participating in No Mow May, but as I said, we have big old space with lots of dandelions and stuff. My pretty flowers are pretty much up against my house. So
except for the one that's just hanging out in your driveway. It was still in a pot.
I bought that for myself for Mother's Day. I bought my mom one as well. I don't think that one will get flowers, but I'm not sure. It's cool. Did you see the color?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Ryan took it out of the car and he was like, oh, it has to be in the sun. And I was like, no, it doesn't. He's like, it has to be. So we set it there. And then later on, we went out to go to my mom's and it wasn't in the sun anymore because shadows. And he was like, it has to be in the sun. So we pulled it out in the middle.
Okay. I love that. I like the idea that Ryan just like goes out at random times during the day and it's like, oh no, the plant's not in the sun. He just
my poor plant is just like frying. It's just curling in on itself.
He's just wandering around like, where's the sun?
So it'll be on my roof eventually. It did get watered though. That's good.
Yeah.
I was thinking about watering it the other day and was like, I don't really want to go outside.
And now you don't have to.
This has been Dungeons and Dopamine podcast.
You can listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts and even on YouTube.
You can support us on Patreon at www.patreon.com/dungeons-dopamine.
Your hand movements for that are beautiful.
Thank you.
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Twitch, and Discord.
And I have been failing to stream. I'm sorry. I've been busy and uninterested.
Jeez, Jessica.
Frankly. But you can reach out to us on any of those socials. Even if it's Twitch and I'm not streaming, I'll still talk to you there. Or at dungeonsdopamine@yahoo.com.
Yeah. You can, or no,
You can-
Dungeons and Dopamine is edited and published by Argyle Pigeon Productions. Thank you.
You can Argyle Pigeon Productions.
You can. You can try.
Yes, please do. Please edit the episodes for me.
Right?
Please.
We can't pay you,
No.
except in happiness.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye!